let's get right into this one. What we have here is a pretty chilling first-person account from a teacher. Her new job at a remote school takes a turn into something, well, something deeply unsettling. And just so you know, this isn't your typical ghost story. It's really a window into a tragedy that time all but forgot.
So right from the start, you get this image, right? Her classroom, which is supposed to be this safe, normal space, and then this huge, dense bamboo grove it looks out on. We're about to see how these two very different places get tangled up in a really, really tragic way.
So let's set the scene. Our narrator, she's a brand new teacher, and her very first job is not exactly what she dreamed of. She's been sent to this understaffed school, kind of stuck out in the middle of nowhere. It creates this immediate sense of isolation. And to make it worse, her classroom has a front row seat to this ominous-looking bamboo grove.
Okay, let's just break this down for a second, because it really shows you how alone she was. She's teaching 2 grades at the same time. That tells you how stretched their resources are. Her classroom is way at the back of the school, separated from pretty much everyone else. And what's right there, right next to her in the staff bathrooms? That huge bamboo grove. It's just this constant, looming presence.
So for a little while, everything's fine. You know, just the usual grind of teaching in a new place. But then, one day, that routine gets broken by something she can't quite explain. And this is where that sense of normalcy starts to crack.
I want you to just picture this. You're in the middle of a lesson, and out of the corner of your eye, you see this flicker of movement from the window. Not a clear shape, not a person, just something moving around in the deep shadows of the bamboo. It's vague enough that you could almost convince yourself you didn't see it. Almost.
And right away, that's the question that just hangs in the air. You know, what was that? Her mind immediately starts racing, trying to find some kind of logical answer for what she just saw.
And this is that classic battle you have in your own head, isn't it? On one hand, there's that primal gut feeling, that little voice screaming that something is deeply wrong. But then the logical part of your brain tries to shut it down. Oh, it must be older kids cutting class, hiding in the shade. It's a perfectly reasonable explanation, and for a little while, it's enough to put her mind at ease.
But that creepy feeling, it doesn't really go away. And then comes this one afternoon, a perfect storm, literally. A rainstorm, a sudden illness, and just terrible timing all come together to force her to confront whatever is out there in that grove, completely alone.
I mean, this is just a recipe for disaster, isn't it? A massive storm darkens the sky, making the afternoon feel like night. A sudden, sharp stomach pain forces her to dismiss class early. So by the time she gets out of the toilet, the one right next to the grove, the entire school is deserted. She is completely alone.
And in that eerie, rain-soaked silence, she sees them. These aren't indistinct shadows anymore. It's 2 small children, a boy and a girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old, still in their school uniforms. And they aren't just playing near the grove, they are walking directly into it.
Her teacher instincts just kick into high gear immediately. 2 little kids wandering off into a dark forest after school, in a storm? No way. That's a huge red flag. So she calls out to them, trying to sound both like a concerned adult and an authority figure. They don't respond. They don't even look back. They just keep walking, deeper and deeper into the bamboo. So, driven by this sense of responsibility, she makes a decision. She can't just leave them. She runs in after them, into the dark, wet grove.
So this chase takes her deeper into the woods than she's ever been. And what she finds there isn't just a couple of lost kids. She finds a place that feels like it shouldn't exist, a relic of a past tragedy that the forest itself has tried to swallow.
I mean, hidden deep inside this grove, she stumbles upon an old, ruined school building, literally decaying and forgotten. And without a moment's hesitation, the 2 children walk right through the doorway. At this point, her suspicion just turns into pure dread. This is not right.
She follows them inside and finds them at the end of a dark hallway, in this ruined room. But they aren't playing or exploring. They're just standing there, stock still, staring up into a dark corner of the room with this strange, transfixed look on their faces. Her fear for them completely overrides her own. She rushes in to grab them, to pull them away from whatever has them so captivated. And as she reaches for them, her eyes automatically follow their gaze. She looks up into that corner. And what she sees is just horrifying. A young girl, maybe 12 years old,
hanging from the ceiling, lifeless. Her eyes are wide open in a final moment of sheer terror. And as our narrator stands there screaming, the two small children slowly turn to face her, their faces now completely unnaturally pale.
As if that wasn't terrifying enough, a new voice speaks. A third figure appears, another girl, covered in blood, her face a white mask. She looks at the teacher, smiles, and says this.
And that's it. Her body just gives out. The terror is too much to process. Her very last conscious thought is of the children, all three of them, reaching for her as the world just goes black. It's a complete system overload from pure fear.
Okay, so she doesn't die, she's found. And when she wakes up, the absolute horror story she just lived through is finally given some tragic historical context. And the truth is somehow even sadder than the haunting itself.
She's found by her colleagues near the edge of the grove, though she has no memory of getting out. And she decides right then and there she cannot stay another day. The experience has completely broken her.
And that's when her colleague finally tells her the horrifying truth. Years ago, during an armed conflict, a stray artillery shell struck building number 6, the very one she found, killing the children who were inside during their class. They tried to rebuild, but the spirits of the dead children were too tormented. Eventually, they just abandoned the building, letting the bamboo grove swallow it and hide the tragedy from view.
And this brings us to our final thoughts. Understanding the history gives her this overwhelming sense of pity for these lost souls, these innocent casualties of a forgotten conflict. But that pity isn't enough to overcome the terror. She knows she has to leave.
And that leaves us with this haunting question, doesn't it? The story began as one teacher's personal terror, but it ends as this somber reflection on the unseen consequences of conflict. The children in that grove weren't just ghosts, they were echoes of a tragedy, a reminder that the most profound horrors are often the ones we create ourselves.